in. It is Tyrone Ross, CEO of Onramp Invest. Shout out to my Spark Network family. I am here today as they're sharing their platform with me to talk about how 2020 has snuck its way into 2021. The first week of the year provided so many challenges, let's just call it that, and so many feelings and shock and awe, old wounds, scars, and just what I believe is unresolved history in America. And, we can juxtapose that with next week, right? We will have the inauguration, a new president, a new administration, a House and a Senate and a president that are Democrat, a ginormous stimulus bill that has been announced, and the opportunity now for us, hopefully, to come together and focus on healing. But I will say this, a new president doesn't change it. A new House, a new Senate doesn't change it. What changes it is going to be each and every individual, regardless of party, regardless of class, regardless of race, regardless of creed, denomination, religion. It is going to take a lot of us to come together and discuss hard topics and really look at effective ways that we are going to be able to heal America. But I want to go back to that day for a minute. And it was interesting to see how so many people felt so many different ways about what they saw. And to me, it again showed the divisiveness in America on both sides. And it also showed something that I have discussed here on this platform repeatedly is there is an underclass in America, the white poor, that has different issues than the Black poor, than the Hispanic poor, right? And the tribal poor and so on and so forth. The underclass in this country, their voices aren't heard, their cries aren't heard. People respond in different ways. Remember a couple of months ago when everyone was talking about those that were in the street and looting and rioting and all those things. And again, divisiveness. Some people supported it, some people didn't. And then you get a different class of folk that, different color and different class of folk who stormed the Capitol. Some with it, some not, divided, different perspectives. But if you look here again, if you look at humanity, if you look at America, if you look at what's going on here, what you see is hurt. What you see is lack of purpose. What you see is lack of leadership. And leadership not in the form of a president, not in the form of a speaker of the House, not in the form of a celebrity or the idolatry that we love in this country, but someone that inspires people to want to be better for others. I would challenge anybody watching this to answer that question. Who inspires you to be better for the person next to you? Who makes you feel like you can go out of the house every day and feel safe, protected, honored, appreciated, and grateful for what it is that you have, and also feel compelled to pour some of that love and blessing into someone else? That's not going to come from the president. That's going to come from the things that we see in our communities. That's going to come from not arguing in the comments, but more importantly, having constructive debate and open dialogue with those who don't look, walk, talk, and act like you. So I feel like as we look at what happened that day, I can tell you as a Black man in this country, the incredible privilege that was on display was not a surprise. The things that I saw and some of the context that you heard, leave the mouth of some of the people that were there was not a surprise. The way our current president responded to that crisis was not a surprise, right? What you saw on social media was not a surprise. But what was a surprise to me was that now in America, those type of events are normalized. We have been desensitized to outward trauma, outward cries and abuse in this country of, again, the needs of all people not being met. It is one thing for me to disagree with you, but it's another thing for me not to hear you, not to care, because we can disagree. We can have civil debate, and that's the other thing. Our debates are no longer civil. And we can have debate, but I should hear you. I should understand your concerns. I should want to make sure that you are given the platform to openly express what it is that your fears, your disappointments, your hopes, right? The faith, right? Of things hoped for, right? What is it that you desire out of life in this great country that we call America? And I may not disagree, and I don't have to disagree, but you should be heard. And there are a lot of people in this country that are not heard. If you aren't on Capitol Hill, you're not heard. If you aren't on the part of the bi-coastal elite, you're not heard. Which is why I always talk about being an advocate for the voiceless, and that's all people. That's an advocate for children. That is an advocate for homeless. That is an advocate for all people, regardless of their zip code, to be heard. So now as we focus on now moving into an inauguration that is, again, going to be divided, going to be debated, going to be argued about in the comments. When do we heal? But for the people out there, now that we have what everyone wanted, everyone danced in the streets, everyone had a good time, they celebrated a Black, female vice president. Yeah, we got what we wanted now. Who's going to hold these folks accountable? Who's going to hold them accountable now? How do we make sure the change is effective? How do we make sure this stimulus package isn't just throwing crumbs over the fence, but the infrastructure, the constructs, the building of which people can say, I know my way out. If I do these things, who are going to hold those folks accountable? Who's going to make sure that the Democratic Party truly starts to become the party of the people? I will say the Democratic Party has lost its way. I will also say that what we need to do is make sure that, and I've said this in some circles, that we almost need a community czar. The Biden administration needs to appoint a person or persons similar to Satoshi with Bitcoin. We don't know if it's one person or four. One person that is responsible for always having their tentacles and feelings and thoughts and passions and work on the people. Give us the temperature of the people. That is your responsibility for 4 years. Let us know what's going on in the rural parts of Oklahoma. Let us know what's going on in the inner cities of Philadelphia. Let us know what is going on out in the West Coast and in the Deep South. We need to know what all people are feeling. This is your responsibility. That needs to be a thing. Who is going to hold this party accountable? And I would be saying the same thing if there was a Republican Party. We hold our representatives accountable by a couple things. One, yes, voting, but your work is not done when you vote. The work is not done after the inauguration. The work is not done, right? My mother likes to call it, right, after the shout. After the shout is over, you still got to work. You still got to go in, but 2 years from now, in the midterms, right? Are we focused on getting the people out to vote and vote locally, and understanding the power of district attorneys and attorney generals and all of these people that affect our communities? Are we going to start to educate children on, the basics of finance so they speak money in a capitalist society, which is the language? Are we going to educate children to their rights? Are we going to start to make sure that we are putting people in place that are building strong, supportive communities that allow people inside of those communities to have a sense of dignity? Are we going to make sure that we are going into corporate America and white collar and blue collar and making people feel as though your path to what it is that you want in this country can be achieved? 9 to 5, 11 to 2, whatever it is, you work hourly, salary, does not matter. Are we truly going to give people the ability now to feel as though finally that everything that I was told this country is, it's going to live up to that? And there's not a soul watching this that is not better than the worst thing you've ever done. Every single one of us is better than the worst thing we've ever done, Donald Trump included. And you may have cringed just now, but that's the truth. I believe in the power of humanity. He will have his own comeuppance, but everybody is better than the worst thing they've ever done. So this country is better than the worst thing it's ever done, and the worst things that it continues to do. But the truth is, sometimes you can be too free. Freedom comes with the price. It comes with hubris. It comes with elitism. It comes with feeling though you are infallible. Land of the free, home of the brave. All these different words and terms that we said in the Pledge of Allegiance, but freedom can start to be taken for granted. Humans are good at that, by the way. So the most important thing is this: with this inauguration coming, we should be inspired. We should feel excited to work, to put in the work, to take to the streets, not to storm the Capitol, but to march for the fallen, to march for hungry, to march for the abandoned, abused, neglected children, to march for people that have died repeatedly in this country, throughout this country, because of COVID. We have to make sure now that we are taking to the streets and advocating and sitting on boards and joining these committees for effective change in our communities. Seeds are cheap. Soil is expensive. The soil of America is barren. We must do a better job now. More than ever, the call to action is now to hold this administration responsible and every administration after, to make sure everything that they do is for the people and by the people. I appreciate you.
Let's break out these chains.